Hey, thanks for making it to Veterans Info Tap. I'm glad you made it. Breaking news that the VA Secretary has been asked to resign. Yes, resign, leave, pack your box and go. Sayonara, don't let the door hit you. Now remember that the VA has had a calamity of problems over the last several years, primarily things regarding IT issues, functioning claims, missing tens of thousands of dependent claims, either adding or removing dependents for decades, or for over a decade anyway, tracing back to problems with intent to files being put into existence during the PACT Act and prior to the deadline, and that's why they had to extend the deadline for the PACT Act to allow some fixes to happen. They had to start and stop rollouts throughout the VA because of technical issues. There was problems with the pension recipients getting overpaid because the VA wasn't really monitoring it correctly, and so there was many veterans and surviving spouses receiving VA pension, a low and no income safety net program, and the VA started ripping back, or was going to start ripping back, money that was due to overpayment. Now, fine, they overpaid, but do you really want to just rip it back? Because this is a vulnerable population, being that it's low and no income recipients. You had additional issues with the foreclosure aspects with regard to the COVID forbearance, and the VA basically stopping a program that allowed veterans to be able to add payments to the end of their mortgage during the whole COVID fiasco. Not to mention the $10 million plus that had been paid out to senior executives within the VA. So it has been problem after problem. There's an article here on military.com, and it goes in to say here, VA Secretary asked to resign by former Navy SEAL lawmaker in wake of executive bonus scandal. Yep, that's it. So let's run through this real quick. Hit the thumbs up, subscribe, share with a friend, all that good stuff. I truly appreciate it. If you're not a member, consider joining. It does help the channel immensely, and I appreciate all of you members. You can do that by going to the homepage. You'll see highlighted members and a join button there. All right. A lawmaker for the first time on Tuesday called for Veterans Affairs Secretary to resign over bonuses erroneously paid to senior VA executives under a law passed to provide incentive pay to retain employees in jobs with critical shortages. In other words, jobs that are serving veterans or helping veterans to get served, right? So, but instead of helping to keep those people on board, let's pay ourselves bonuses. Representative Derek Van Orden called on the VA Secretary to resign during a House Veterans Affairs Committee hearing. Other lawmakers previously have called for the heads of the Veterans Benefits Administration and Veterans Health Administration to resign or be fired, but they have stopped short of asking the VA Secretary to step down. Moving on, the VA Office of Inspector General published a report last month that found VA authorized bonuses worth $10.8 million to 182 senior headquarter executives under the PACT Act, the law that had expanded health care and benefits to millions of veterans who served overseas. The Inspector General investigation So the Inspector General investigation instigated at the VA's Secretary's request after the Secretary learned the extent of the bonuses, found that the VA Undersecretaries for Health and Benefits approved the payments known as Critical Skill Incentives, or CSIs, despite concerns from human resources personnel and financial staff. The investigation found that the VA Secretary for Health, Dr. Sharif Ellenhall, kept the VA Secretary apprised of the bonuses paid to medical center directors and the heads of VA medical regions, but did not inform him of the executive bonuses at the central office in Washington, D.C. In a subsequent report released last Thursday, Inspector General Michael Missal raised concerns that Ellenhall may not have had the authority to award bonuses to certain senior executives who work directly for him. Van Orden, a former Navy SEAL, said during the hearing that he has been in communication with Ellenhall in the past several days and drafted a resignation letter for Ellenhall to McDonough, who is the VA Secretary. During the hearing, However, Van Orden said that the VA secretary should sign it and send it to his boss, President Joe Biden. It breaks my heart, Van Orden said, to call for the VA secretary's resignation. He noted that the two speak regularly, and McDonough supported his family following the death of his daughter. I'm going to give you the opportunity to do what you just asked to do, to be held accountable. This is a systematic problem, and I don't think you are capable of serving in this capacity any longer, Van Orden said. On May 21st, a dozen Republican senators, including 4 members of the Senate Veterans Affairs Committee, called for the immediate firings of Ellen Hall, Undersecretary for Benefits Joshua Jacobs, and Deputy Secretary Tanya Bradshaw. No Democrats have called for the dismissal, but Senator John Tester, chairman of the Veterans Senate Committee, joined committee Democrats and Republicans on May 30th, calling for accountability and personal actions to restore public trust, which I did a video on that. The use of this important authority to instead increase the salaries of executives in the VA central office is unethical, a violation of VA policy, and in direct opposition to the intent of Congress, wrote the senators in a letter to McDonough. The House Veterans Affairs Committee asked Ellen Hall and Jacobs to testify during the hearing, but McDonough took responsibility, saying he would speak for the department and lay out steps the VA is taking to address the issue. According to McDonough, of the $9.7 million the VA distributed to senior executives, it had recouped $9.1 million. Collections for the remainder are on hold following hearing requests by those who received the bonuses. He added that the VA has paid out $340 million in incentives to employees in positions of greatest need, including housekeepers, food service workers, VA police, and human resources specialists, and retention rates are at the highest they've seen. VA has used CSI payments as an important tool to help attract employees who possess high demand and shortage skills that serve in critical need, McDonough said in his written testimony. We made serious mistakes in the way we implemented and executed the PACT Act's CSI authority for senior executives. Moving forward, we will continue to work to ensure that everyone who receives CSIs meets the criteria to do so. McDonough said that he continues to have faith in his leadership team, but acknowledged that the VA Office of Accountability and Whistleblower Protections and ethics experts are reviewing the process and make recommendations regarding the future steps for disciplinary actions. There's an established process there, McDonough said. When asked after the hearing about Van Orden's call for his resignation, McDonough looked dejected. These are issues everyone feels strongly about, McDonough said. I appreciate the candid conversation. All right, that concludes it. And look, it's been issue after issue, and at some point you have to look in the mirror and make a decision. Thanks for watching. I appreciate you. Have a great one, and remember, if we don't take care of ourselves, something went wrong.